Back in 2023, Twitter decided to start paying the content creators that use it a portion of the ad revenue that appeared on that was received from the ads that appear beneath the tweets that you send. And this is a good and sensible thing to do. It means that people are encouraged to create content for the platform. It means they are rewarded for their efforts. And so you would think everyone benefits. And then India discovered this. And as you can see from India Today, but this is just one of literally dozens and dozens and dozens of articles promoting this. Twitter is going to start paying Indian users in lakhs. I don't know what that is, and I don't care, right? But the point is, in Indian money, they're going to start allowing you to earn revenue on Twitter. And when this started happening, well, people received a lot of lakhs, apparently. They were very thrilled. And as you can see, memes erupt as Indian creators receive massive payout from Twitter. Now, I think it's important to remember that I think it's 13,000 rupees or something, which is not that much because there's 84, nearly 85 rupees to the dollar. So you can see how this difference, 200,000 rupees is a lot for this person who paid for the blue tick, but then it was a large investment proportionally for an Indian user to get the blue tick in the first place. But this became something that a lot of Indians were well aware of, and they decided they could make a lot of money out of it, even if, because the American dollar is worth a lot more than the Indian rupee. And so getting a few $100s goes a lot further in India. For example, like you can find luxurious villas for £66,000, which is a very, very small amount. Now, I'm not saying it's that much, but like, the price of groceries, the price of just like, useful things in daily life, the amount that Twitter is paying out is not proportionate to the value of the money itself in India. And so you can imagine how this went. Started engagement farming. People started engagement farming. And people would identify these, and you would find like what appeared to be Western accounts, like Starstrider here, trying to be a content creator, Liverpool fan. And you can see where he's like, grateful to receive my payout there.
Definitely not. That's true.
And what's he doing? Coffee or tea, rain or sunshine, phone call or text. It's just really, really cheap engagement farming, but it made him $475. And you think, God, how did that make so much money? Well, it's because it's very low impact to post something on Twitter. And if 500 people see it, well, that can add up, right? You can post a lot of tweets in a day. If you get 500 on each one, suddenly it's 10,000, that's 100,000. That's a lot of people. But also what people were finding, and I don't know whether you showed that yet, so the way that the Twitter ad revenue works is it's based on how many verified checkmarks, blue checkmarks, paid accounts see the adverts. And so what you can do is form a large group of paid accounts who then reply to each other. So it guarantees that there's a view on the ad from one another. And if you get 10,000 of these replying to another 10, this sort of closed ecosphere of blue check, what is essentially people gaming the system, well, then you can end up with a very few number of followers getting nearly $500. And $500 is not an insubstantial amount of money, even in the West. Who's sad to get 350 quid or whatever it is extra from just posting on Twitter? That's a great deal of money, really, to the average person. And I bet it goes even further in India. So I just did a few quick calculations. So $450 is 38,000 rupees. And if you look at, say, the price of rice in India or basic groceries, rice is 27,000 rupees, bread is 38,000 rupees, milk is 27 rupees, 38 rupees, 224 rupees, eggs 81 rupees, vegetables are 4,000 a month. Well, you can see how well someone is now living on $450 and 38,000 rupees, right? You can see how there is a massive incentive to game the system because, we've got access to a fund of Western money, and all we have to do is form a small closed network of, 10, 20,000 people, if that, and just make sure that when the thing registers a paid view, well, we're all registering these paid views. And so the giant pot of paid views are being disproportionately sucked to this closed ecosphere of people who are gaming the system, and they take more out of it than other people do. And people started noticing that we're getting banging numbers here. Why exactly are our payments 65% less per period? And this is a real reasonable question. And I've noticed this myself. So these are mine. So I've got nearly 500,000 followers. I get somewhere between like 50 to 100 million impressions every month. And in every 2-week pay period, so say 50 million. And in every 2-week pay period, I probably get more than that, actually. I don't even know. I should check. Yeah, so every 2-week pay period, I get 25 to 50 million impressions, and that equates normally to about $1.5 to $2,000, which is great. I mean, that's really, really nice. And it's not money I rely on, but it's always nice to have a bit of extra money, right? And I spend my time producing content for Twitter, right? I actually put my thoughts into what I'm doing, and I try to have an effect on the discourse and try to make my tweets worth reading. Either I'm presenting some information that with a particular sort of commentary on it, or I'll write little essays, or I'll put videos on there, or whatever it is. I try to make my Twitter feed worth it, and I guess that's why I've managed to get nearly 500,000 followers. But the point being is I'm being rewarded for creating original content that actually has some value, whereas the scammers are literally just farming. They're just making sure the clicks get done. And the thing is, they know the scammers are Indian, because if you just type in India, you've got lots of support for like Indian teams, and you can do this yourself. Like if you find someone who you think is like some person gaming the system, just search their profile for India and see them supporting their Indian sports team. And it's a very strange thing. But anyway, so you can see that over the time period, mine has gone down to, last one was $600. So from 2,000 to 600, I've lost about 65% as well. And it's just very interesting how this is a repeated phenomenon that everyone has noticed. And like I said, I mean, I would be using Twitter for free if we weren't being paid. So it's not something I'm excessively bothered about. But there is, again, this kind of galling that that's not what the system's for, right? The system was based on a kind of trust that you would use the platform responsibly and to create good content to make the platform being worthwhile on. Advertisers would then want to advertise on it, and then you would receive a portion of that to compensate you for your efforts. Not someone else is doing something that is high trust, and you can scam a chunk of that money, in fact, a large chunk of that money, off of those people. And again, there are 1.6 billion people in India. That's a large pool of potential scammers, isn't it? So the system ends up breaking down because the freeloaders are taking advantage of it. They're not producing content. What they are doing is just extracting wealth without providing any value. And so people were just like, look, you're just going to have to ban India, frankly. If this is the kind of like engagement farming and monetization games they're going to do this, as he says, there's no reason to allow this. And I think that's a good point, because people have been noticing, look, they've gamed the system and now it's ruined. It's like, okay, why couldn't they just make content? Why couldn't they just make content like everyone else and actually have it as a worthwhile thing to use, to engage with? Why did it have to be, cheap engagement farming? Because, I mean, let's be fair, it's probably more sustainable if you're actually using the system as intended, rather than just extracting temporarily as much wealth out of it as we can before the system has to be shut down. And as far as we can tell, that is what has been happening, because a bunch of Indians are like, well, hang on a second, it's payout day, where's my payout? And a hashtag started trending called hashtag no payout, no premium, with Indians saying, I haven't been paid, I haven't been paid, I haven't been paid. And there are a lot of Indians on this hashtag. Again, still using hashtags for some reason. But there are a lot of Indians on this hashtag saying, well, look, if I'm not going to get paid, why would I use the premium? And it's like, that's a good question. That's a totally fair question. And it does seem too punitive to just sit there and go, well, we've just got to ban India. But there has been a problem with the system, that it is being gamed, it is being scammed, basically. And so what needs to be done? Well, I think that actually, if there is a particular country that's causing a particular set of problems, it might be worth setting Twitter's monetization pots, rather than just having one big advertising revenue pot that all of the ad revenue comes in and then the payments come out of. Do it by language. Do it by, that'd be one good way of doing these things. But even then, you can get around that. So, I mean, it might be worth region locking these things. I mean, that means that I'll make a lot less from Twitter, no doubt, but it would make it more difficult to scam, and you would only be scamming your fellow countrymen rather than the world entirely, right? Or just, I mean, you could just ban these things. I mean, the ideal thing would be to be able to train an AI to look for this pattern of behavior, assess the quality of the tweets. If it's just absolute nonsense that's being posted, then make sure that person isn't eligible for the monetization process. If a person is actually engaging with the system as intended, do that. But but anyway, I'm not saying I've got an easy answer or anything. It's just that this was inevitably going to happen because freeloaders on a system damage the system. This is why it is immoral to be a freeloader on a system. This is why it is dangerous for the system itself. And anyone who is engaging with the system in good faith should be annoyed that the scammers are taking loads of money out of it. They don't deserve to be here and they shouldn't be here. And frankly, I'm glad something's been done about it.